Okay, so this is what could be humorously called the Posh Bookcase, and I'm just going to, well, we've got that little set of games going on there, which I may crack open and review a bit, but as we go up, there's going to be books that are horror of horrors on their sides, stacked up onto each other, so if anyone's offended by that, look away now. Anyway, the reason why I'm doing this video is because in one of my recent ones, someone has said that they'd be interested to see what the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles is like. Now, it is in here somewhere, but I just thought it'd be an excuse to show you some of my favourite books that aren't gaming, that don't live in my office, that are interesting nonetheless. That one there, Walking with Cavemen, accompanied a TV series that was really interesting at the time, about human evolution, and when we got to in there, and that Shogun one, that was that accompanied a display at the Royal Armouries in Leeds about the life of Tokugawa. After the Ice is an interesting book that covers a bit more about not so much human evolution there, but following the Ice Age and so on. What else have we got? Landscape of Towns. There's a good bit of urban archaeology. Mick Aston was quite a colourful character. Keys to Avalon, some strange Arthurian stuff. Stonehenge. Biblical world. These Oxford things from prehistoric, and the other one about Egypt, the classical world and the biblical world. They're really, really good books. Well written, well illustrated. So if anyone wants to delve into any of those historical periods, those Oxford history books are really, really, really good. Let's go up a bit. Bit of ancient philosophy, always a good thing. Sometimes a bit heavy. This Storm from the East bit as well. I mean, that book on Genghis Khan is obviously Mongol a bit. Storm for the East was another book that accompanied a TV series and TV documentary series about the Mongols invasion, and that book is really quite good from that. What else have we got? There we go. Posh version of The Origin of Species. That's a very nicely illustrated book. Complete Sherlock Holmes. And if you're worried about these posh books breaking their spine, they're all in slipcase, quite tight slipcases, so I'm quite happy with them being like the way they are. What we have there, Complete Works of Austin. Purgatory, Dante's Purgatory, illustrated by Dali. That's quite good. Cartography. I have an interest in maps. If that's one of the several books on cartography that I've got wandering around the house. Complete Shakespeare, of course. Another biblical history atlas. These biblical atlas stuff, and there's a biblical history one down there, are interesting to compare back to the Bible, to see the historical elements in the Bible rather than the mythological ones. Historical Atlas, Posh World Atlas, Catholic Bible. That's my 40th birthday stroke wedding present there from a monk friend of mine that knows me quite well, who's subscribed to the channel. They may comment on that, I don't know. A bit about English history, British Isles, Irish. Kipling, Edward Lear, fantastic book that. Book of nonsense probably shaped my sense of humour. A bit about T. Lawrence, medieval stuff, so Russian legends, the Icelandic sagas. Those 2 volumes are really good read. Love them to bits. Well, hopefully not to bits, but take care of books like this. Again, slipcase, so if people are going, oh, you break the spines and stuff like that, whatever. Fairy tales now. So there's Grimm, there's Hans Christian Andersen, there's Perrault, there's Aesop. This book is good. Another sort of not really urban archaeology, but certainly the landscape archaeology, I suppose, landscape history. Some very illustrative maps in distribution of settlements, I guess you could call it. Some more on architectural history, more English legends. Another book that's shaped my sense of humour. Molesworth books. A bit about Pink Floyd. That's like Nick Mason. You got all of this stuff with Dave Gilmour and Roger Waters having a go at each other, but Nick Mason caught in the middle. That book is pretty good from a neutral perspective, shall we say. My sister bought me that one. Paradise Lost, nice version of that. Not the version that gets read. This is more sort of a dip into prettiness book. I do have other copies of that are the ones that get read. Been on the Great Houses of England. The Apocrypha, aka the books that weren't picked for the top 10 that ended up in the Bible. Sun Tzu. Everyone should have a copy of Sun Tzu. This is my posh version. I have this similar with Milton. I have a copy of this that's the reading version. It's a paperback version. It's the one that actually gets read. Bit on Cantor, history, classical history. Ancient history, more Egyptology stuff. Then we're on to the classical historians. Herodotus, absolutely fantastic. Another one where I've got his histories in posh folio version as well as paperback reading version. It's just brilliant. Yes, Herodotus. I mean, everyone should read Herodotus if you've got any interest in history whatsoever. Thucydides, Livy, Caesar, obviously Gallic Wars and stuff. Again, another one I've got in paperback for reading. And Tacitus, one of my favourites. And Suetonius, 12 Caesars one there. Simplified version of Greek mythology at the top. Very battered book on Atlas of Archaeology. Poor thing, been through a lot. Had that for a long time. And the poor old cover's held together with tape and everything else. It's just been well loved, shall we say. Now on to everyone else. We've got the Celts. Nora Chadwick is quite an authoritative writer on the Celts. Some of the things she's in her works has since been proven not to be as true, but still very much worth a read. 100 Years' War. Charlemagne, a bit of that is an interesting book. It's just all sorts of a collection of everything really. That's clues in the name, right? But lots of a lot of the medieval books tend to be, or at least medieval history tends to focus on the wars that people had. This thing sort of breaks out that mould a bit and gives you a bit more under society. So, a bit on the Anglo-Saxons, which is where we'll get to in a bit. I mean, the book that I'm getting to isn't as posh as these, even though it lives on this particular bookcase. So up to the top now,
the top shelf we've got, there's all sorts of random bits and pieces. The Egyptian hieroglyphic book, that's my attempt to actually teach myself Egyptian and the hieroglyphics, and no, you just have to keep referring back to that. Silly books. I'm not going to tell you what that book is because I like to keep this channel family. Then we've got QI, Humphrey Lyttelton, philosopher in his own right. I don't know if anyone watching this outside the shores of England or under a certain age would know who Humphrey Lyttelton is, but there we have it. Portable Atheist by Christopher Hitchens. One of the last editions of Pear's Encyclopedia. Another not safe for work book. All sort of documentary books. This is a very much abridged version of Gibbon, but it kind of misses out the not so sensationalist bit, so it's quite an interesting one. Age of Arthur, a bit more sort of Anglo-Saxon thing. Celtic Realms, Nora Chadwick again. We'll come back to that one. These two books are very good, very well illustrated, just sketch maps and stuff like that, but they do give a good insight into the period of the colours. It's a good book. History of Britain. Of course, no one should be complete without a copy of the Domesday Book. Really great, huge thing it is. And then just some random stuff, including complete Lewis Carroll at the top, another shaper of my mind. Anyway, so this is the book that we were talking about in the video, and someone mentioned. Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, right? So the idea of this book, now it is, we're going to go at it, Phoenix edition, Phoenix Press, there you go. It is the fact that you've got, let's have a look, so you see at the top here, so on one side of the page we've got the Winchester manuscript, and the date there is sort of 882, 881, 882, and then on the other side we've got the Peterborough manuscript for the same period, and so they're directly sort of comparable between the two. So go back a bit, we've got the Winchester manuscript there, and we've got the Peterborough, still on Peterborough manuscript, and so on. Lots on the Peterborough manuscript, the Abingdon manuscript down the bottom there. Now what period is this? So this is 1065, so we've got, this is the death of Edward the Confessor, it's talking about here. There's the Worcester manuscript, 1065. So the interesting thing, or the most illustrative, I suppose, of why having them back to back like this is a good thing. So here we've got, this is 1066, and if you know anything about English history or British history or whatever, 1066 was quite a big year. It's you know, Harold and, well, two Harolds and one William, and you've got Harold of Norway mentioned in there. So you've got all the 1066, the entries from there. So we've got Abingdon, we've got Worcester, we've got more on the Abingdon Peterborough manuscript. Lots of stuff, all covering that period, that 1066. So 1066 continued, more on 1066, and so on. But the comparison is, or the point of having them side by side like this, instead of having them, you know, a complete, here's the complete Abington, here's the complete Peterborough, here's the complete so on, is that you can directly, just on one page, or just on one spread or whatever, compare entries for the same dates across multiple manuscripts. And it shows you, from a quite interesting perspective, how
some authors of the manuscripts, or some of the historians that were writing these things, had different perspectives, different points of view on what was actually going on. So, you know, we've got some that are pro-William, some that are anti-William. So it's, you know, some wanted the William to take over from Edward, and others wanted Harold to take over from Edward. So, and you can see that by reading the entries in here. Anyway, so this is the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, new edition, translated by Michael Swanton. Let's get some publication details on it. Ooh. Excuse the wobbly camera, trying to juggle with both hands. There we go. So we've got its publication details. So 1996 first published, paperback edition. So this edition is copyright Phoenix Press 2000. So there you go. So there may be another version of it floating around. There is the ISBN number if anyone wants to go and look it up and try and find their own copy. But there you go. So, you know, hopefully I'm not, hopefully this is like, you know, not breaking any of the copyright stuff and doing it some fair use, since I'm giving them a free ad for that book, and hopefully I didn't pause too long on any of the pages in order to make it fall under the reproduction type thing. So yes, I have got other copies of Anglo-Saxon Chronicles over there to my right, which I'm kind of not going to show you because of all the stuff that I've had to move off the flat surfaces of this particular bookshelf in order to be able to show you all the books. The wife is a very keen crafter, and her craft materials end up occupying a lot of space, and me being a musician means that a lot of my musical materials, I'll put that away when I've got two hands, my musical amps and everything else tend to occupy the rest of the flat spaces and things, like, you know, hug me on the door a bit, and there is a guitar case and a bass that it's not mine. I promised that I'd actually do something with that ages ago. Never mind. Yeah, so there you go. Right. So yeah, so if anyone's sitting there going, oh no books stored flat, it's not a thing, then, you know, until such time as I can afford more shelves or a larger room or a dedicated library or something like that, then yeah, they're just going to have to live and survive in that form. Alright, there we go. A little bit of a insight into books. See, books, proper books. Learn to read, everyone, and don't get all your stuff off Wikipedia. Alright, that'll do it for that. Bye.